Hey everyone, so obviously I've changed my hair, and my last couple of videos were well, I think I've only uploaded one to my LetzMakeup channel, but it wasn't a speaking one, so I didn't really get a chance to address my hair change. So I figured I'd do it for you now. So first of all, I suppose the last time I was going on about my hair, I was saying I wanted to go blonder, and I really did. I didn't want to be a normal blonde, as in just like blonde. My aspirations for being a blonde were to go like completely white silver blonde, but unfortunately my hair couldn't take it. It was starting to break off a little bit, luckily only really underneath the bottom of my hair, so it's not that noticeable anywhere else. But my hairdresser did say that it would take at least another 2 goes just to knock out the kind of warm tones in my hair, and then there would be the continuous maintenance of highlights on top of that, which my hair being so fine obviously couldn't take. So I decided to completely abandon that idea, and when I make a decision I go with it like straight away once I've definitely like made up my mind. So I decided to go red. With my hair already having been pre-lightened, I wanted to all I needed was like, well, what I thought would be just a like a semi, one of those hair colours like Directions or Stargazer or whatever. They're the ones that I'd be more used to. Just to put in, Directions is probably the one I used to always use, like Pillar Box Red or one of them. I've been this colour a million times before, by the way, like since my teens, early 20s and all that. But I couldn't get my hands on them anywhere in Galway. I don't know, it's kind of hard to find now. There were a few shops that used to sell them, but a good few of those have closed down, so I'm not exactly sure where to get them. But there are a few hair and beauty supply stores here in Galway. One of them called the Hair and Beauty Store, the Hair and Beauty Company or something like that. But anyhow, they sell hair dyes there, so I figured I'd give them a go. And it is like a trade store. Well, it's open to the public and a trade, so there's a certain section that's trade only, and then a section that's obviously open to the public. So with my hair having already been highlighted and pre-lightened or whatever, I just needed something like a wash-in colour that would just cover up the highlight basically. Now, one thing I did know though is that the more bleached your hair is, the less colour will take to it, if that makes sense. There's just nothing for it to kind of grab onto because it's just been processed so much. So I did kind of know that I'd need to have 2 goes at it. So I first picked up this Schwarzkopf colour called Igor is the name of the brand, and I went for this colour dark blonde red, mainly because I liked the colour of the on the box. But after putting this in my hair, the first go, it just came out very kind of rusty looking, and then there was certain parts of my hair that it didn't stick to, which I was prepared for, so that was fine. And then secondly, I picked up a crazy colour. So this is kind of meant to be like Directions or Stargazer or those kind of ones, and this is in Vermilion Red. Now I was torn between this and Fire, Vermilion Red just being slightly warmer and Fire being more of a true red, but I went for this one anyhow, and it was fine, it did cover it up, but there was still a lot of yellow showing through, and I think I just needed to pick a red that had less yellow in it, because this is a warmer red. I found that this was washing out very quickly as well. Now, one thing that did save my hair was whenever I used this twice already, which is one of those colour bombs by Revlon, and this is the 600 one. Again, it's quite warm, but this would immediately put a really nice colour back into your hair, and it's really conditioning, so I absolutely adore this. But to take care of my roots, because it's over 3 weeks since I had my last highlights done, and my roots were ridiculously long. They were I don't know, I'd say 1 inch easily. My hairdresser did not go up to my root anyhow when she did my hair, but my roots were ridiculously long, and with my hair being so dark naturally, they were very obvious. So I decided I would go and get my hair done now, but I didn't want to bleach my roots, because like bleach them and then put in that semi again, because it just seemed like too much trouble and quite damaging as well. And it's kind of unnecessary, because I remember when I was like 14, the first time I ever got my hair done red. I got streaks put in my hair, and with this thing called, what was called back at the time, a hair tattoo. I don't know what brand it was or anything like that, but it was just a 1-step process. So it lightened and coloured the hair at the same time, and it came out a really vibrant red like this. So that's what I kind of researched into getting done again, and I figured I'd be able to do it myself. I've been dyeing my hair for years, but I nearly always get the help off like one of my sisters or my mum or something. So I was asking a hairdresser whose makeup I was doing in work recently all about what to look for, and she told me that L'Oreal were a really good brand, now the professional brand. So when I say this is stuff that's trade only in those supply stores. Sally's, I know in like America and probably the UK have them as well, but they are hard to get hold of, so you'd probably need maybe a hairdresser friend or something like that to pick them up for you, and maybe get them to help you out as well. I'm by no means an expert, but I do a lot of research and I have a lot of practice, so I kind of know what I'm doing. And I ask tons of questions as well. I annoy the heck out of people before I do stuff as well, because there was a few people who helped me really well on Twitter. Dan Fanasaur, he was so helpful on Twitter, so thanks a million for that, and he answered a lot of questions for me. So what I went about doing was getting the L'Oreal, what's it called now? Give me 1 second to grab it. I have my little bag of tricks here of all the stuff that I used for it. So I have the L'Oreal Magi Contrast, this one here. So I saw a girl on YouTube using it, and she used just the plain old colour red. So the tube kind of exploded, so it's kind of going to look a bit funny here. I had to put cling film around it so it doesn't spill, but it's just a basic red colour. But to lighten my roots, I needed to get a developer. So it's kind of like, it's a developer which contains peroxide. Now I think there's ammonia in this, but you need the peroxide to lighten the hair for it to come out as vibrant. So I went for, this is a L'Oreal brand again, and another professional one. It's a huge bottle, so it'll last me forever. It's like it's for the salon. This is 30 volume or 9%. So you can either get like a 20, a 30 or a 40 volume. So this is the in-between one. I think it's like 6%, 9% and something 12% maybe. So this is the number 2. And this I mixed in with this guy here. So basically it's for 50ml of this fella, I put 75ml of this. So it's 150% of the developer you put in with it. And that's what I did for my roots. Now I did up the whole thing, one entire tube, because that's what the girl on YouTube had done, and I figured, you know, her roots didn't look any longer than mine, but I only needed half the tube. So 37.5ml of this to, no, it would have been 25ml of this to 37.5ml of this, but I'll write all this in my blog anyhow if you want to go and have a look at that there. And then you just need some kind of bowl to mix it up in, as long as it's not metal, and I wouldn't use like a good china bowl either because it'll probably stain because of the red. So I just used an empty vegetable soup thingy here that my mum gave me, cleaned it out, and it's just plastic, so I can use that again and again. And then I just had a little measure here for the developer. So these guys here, these little tint brushes, are just the handiest things for applying it to your roots, and then you just use the back to get the hair, flip it over and then move over section by section. So I had one and my mum had one, she did the back of my hair and I did the front of my hair. So 35 minutes is what you have to leave it in your hair when you're not using heat. You could use heat and just leave it in for 15 minutes, but I just didn't bother. I had a shower cap that I put on my head, which does kind of help heat up the head a little bit. And then after about 15 minutes of having that in my roots, I didn't want to mix the rest of the colour with the developer for the body of my hair, because obviously my hair is already bleached, so I didn't want to damage it as much as possible, you know, or I wanted to avoid damaging it as much as possible. So I was researching loads online, and luckily there is a lot online about that particular brand of colouring. And what I found out you can do is actually mix it with water. So what I mean is, I'm talking about the actual magic colour, so the colour part, you can mix this with water to put it through the rest of the hair, so it would work like just your directions or your normal semi-permanent dye. And I put that through the rest of my hair so that it would all be even colour, because A, I didn't have enough of any other dye to even it out and didn't want to spend any more money, and 2, I just wanted it to be the exact same colour. So after 20 minutes of having, no, 15 minutes, sorry, of having it in my roots, I mixed up the, or I had it mixed up, say half a tube with some water. I put in like 25 ml of water with the half a tube, or yeah, roughly that amount. Didn't really matter too much because it's just water. And then I just spread that through the rest of my hair, and I left it on total for like 35-40 minutes. So that's the longest it was in any of my hair. And then I just rinsed it out. And I used a shampoo that's specifically for coloured hair. So that's what they say to do, and I suppose it's so that you don't take away too much of the pigment or like lift it too much or whatever. So this is another one I got in the beauty trade store. It's just everyday shampoo for coloured hair, and it's Indola is the name of the brand. Doesn't really matter, I suppose any of the colour shampoos will do fine. But that's basically the process of how I did my hair. My hair was greasy, not dirty, but it was greasy. So it was like 2-day-old hair before I put the colour into it. Like I said before, I'm no expert, but I've always been told that it's best not to put it in like extremely clean hair, I suppose, because you probably need the oils to protect your scalp and stuff like that, and not have your hair frazzle too much. But this particular, the Magic Contrast is supposed to be quite conditioning anyhow, which is good, but you are fighting against peroxide for your roots. And then even though I did mix it with water for the rest of my hair, you are taking a little bit of a risk. So this is not something I'm telling you that you should do. This is just something, or this is what I did to get my hair colour, and it worked really, really well. So because there is ammonia in that colour, so you are taking a risk by putting that through the rest of your hair, but luckily my hair is fine, it's good and soft, hasn't changed the texture, it's just changed the colour. And then you just want to make sure that you don't wash your hair for at least 2 days after dyeing it, because apparently what I've heard, and I've heard this a million times before, is that it takes up to 2 days or 2 days or so for the dye to really settle and I suppose settle into the hair. It probably could be washed away too quickly otherwise. So leave it at least 2 days after washing your hair, after dyeing your hair, before you wash it. Then to top it up, I'll never have to bleach or use peroxide or ammonia now through any of this hair. You can see it matches up really well from the root right through to the ends. And I'm just going to have to maintain the roots from now on, which is brilliant. And then I'll just go back and use my directions or the crazy colour to deal with any fade issues here. And then I can use this guy once a week if it starts to get a bit dull and if I feel it's getting a bit dry or whatever. But either way, I was really happy with how all that turned out. And it's probably the best way I've done my hair anytime, because like in my whole history of hair dyeing, because when I was younger I used to always just bleach it and then put in dyes which faded really quickly, whereas this in itself is actually quite permanent. Well, it'll be more permanent than other dyes anyhow. It will fade eventually, obviously a little bit, but not half as quick as those other times. So that's my hair story for now. Hope this was a wee bit helpful, and I'll chat to you all really soon. So long, guys.